Today's featured book, I am so excited to say, is the heart-wrenching Revising the Storm by Geffrey Davis. I think everyone expected me to feature at least one Geffrey Davis book this month, because how can I not? I think I can say definitively that no other poet has had a greater impact on my work or my life. Full disclosure, Geffrey was my thesis advisor during my MFA, and as such, he was forced to read a roughly 230-page draft because I wrote a novel in verse for my thesis, what must have been, at the very least, 5 times. Asking someone to read a novel 5 times is already asking a lot, but I swear every single time he read it, he would return the full draft with handwritten notes that showed he wasn't rushing through it. And then, after every draft, we would have conferences that were sometimes nearly 2 hours long, where he would push me to think through every revision I'd made and defend it, or question it, and revise it for the next draft. Needless to say, I owe him a great deal. His insight and guidance really shaped the work into something I can be proud of. I can't tell you explicit details right now because the book isn't out yet, but I hope I get the chance someday to talk about it, and to talk more explicitly about the impact of those conversations on what the book became. But let's talk about Revising the Storm now. This book was Geffrey's debut collection. It's a heart-wrenching read that delves into so many aspects of the human condition, but where it really shines is in its exploration of family. The narrative that spans this collection begins with the speaker's imperfect relationship to a father figure, and it concludes with the birth of his own son. The entire journey is beautiful and poignant and rich, by which I mean there is literally no word wasted here. You can tell that he's really interrogated each and every single word, which if you've been fortunate enough to be a student of Geffrey's, should come as no surprise. I'm going to read you 2 poems and give you 2 prompts. This is Instructions for a 4th grade report on Texas. Grab the cardstock from teacher's desk as quickly as you can. Grab the necessary crayons. Get in line and hope hard that nobody claims your father's state before you reach the front. Smile when you see the empty column beside Texas. When the teacher hands you its history and symbols, relax. Slip them into your backpack. Keep them perfect. Rush home to memorize the details before your father returns. The bustle of Austin, the treacherous Rio Grande, pecan trees, Caria illinoinensis, weighted with false nuts, and regal plumes of bluebonnet, Lupinus subcarnosus, flooding the meadows where mockingbirds, Mimus polyglottus, pick through the sounds of spring. Color each broad square of the flag's design and the solo star. Use the white crayon, finally. Color the seal's 5 celestial points, the universal yellow you have learned, and the olive and oak branches a flattened green beneath the sprawling state of Texas. Trace as best you can, by eye, a silhouette of its borders, of land floating in space. Fill in terrain. Think about your father as a boy, between low mountain ranges and rugged hills. Think of rattlesnakes. Wait for your father at the kitchen table. Watch as he touches a calloused finger to his childhood between the boundaries you've drawn. Call the project done. Go to school proud. Hold back hurt in your stomach when Alicia from the front row points at your map, says, "It looks like a heart, a real one." Meaning, all your effort looks like the wrong and right thing. Meaning, your image for father has become this fist-like force that keeps your insides in motion. Your first prompt is to write a poem about a school project you remember from childhood, and try to do it from the perspective of yourself at that age. Maybe spend some time free writing before you begin the poem, about what skills you had at that age, and what concerns. If you can't remember a school project, then maybe a project you did at home, or with a religious group, or a community group, or something. Next poem. This is The Epistemology of Birds. My niece stood one morning at the border of Knowing Sparrow as a compact crashed into the living room window, and in the wake of that noise, I turned 10 again, pointing my BB gun at birds, ignorant of the seconds up ahead, the sudden swerve of consequence. I no longer recall which species, just their tawny toes nearly invisible against the branch. Taking aim, I coveted their movements, their defiance of space and time, as when, what I can't forget, the first one I hit from a limb, its fall a burnt struggle, half against sky, half against ground, and me half expecting to see it denounce both, and gravity, and cut across the world again, like visible wind. Instead, it finished, fell, and then I had feathers against the green grass, and my embarrassed desire to have it fly back inside the tree. And so, When that sparrow struck the shadow of my niece's curiosity, I did what I could to mute that blunt arrival, rushed outside, gently scooped the broken-necked, and headed toward the alley to hide it beneath a week's worth of garbage and newspapers, searching, on my return, for a different image of bird. Your second prompt is to recall something cruel you did during your childhood. Write a poem where you interrogate why you did it and what you would do differently now that you're older and hopefully have more empathy. That's it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. Eid Mubarak to those of you who celebrate, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 15. Bye.